Welcome, everyone, to a special edition of The Save State. I'm joined today for a pre-recorded episode with Mr. Adin Walls. How's it going, Aiden?
It's going very good. I'm really happy to be on the other end of a podcast. I'm excited to chat a little bit and then leave you with the edits afterwards.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and appreciate your time today. We're going to get into I think, a very fun subject, something that I've been kind of contemplating for a while, and I think you are the perfect person to have this conversation with, because on your channel, I see that you have an appreciation for both the new and the old, and so the main thing we're going to talk about today is this simple question that's not so simple: is gaming getting better? But before we get to that,
complicated.
It is very complicated. Before we get to that, though, I want to just learn a little bit about you, man, and hear some of your story, and where you're from. You got a family, simple like background questions like that. You don't have to answer anything like what's your mother's maiden name or your name of your first pet, like the bank would ask you. You can leave those things out if you want to, but just let us know who Adin Walls is, and maybe a little bit about your YouTube journey and how it started and where it is now and where you see it going, maybe.
Yeah, well, the password to all my accounts is
1 2 3 4.
Yeah. Where should I start? Okay, well, I mean, I think it sounds like, this is the first time we're meeting and we're from like really different parts of the world. So I'll tell you a little bit about where I'm from. I'm in South Africa, was born in Cape Town, which is this like most southern sort of city of Africa. And I'm currently living in a little town called George. So it's a little coastal town in South Africa, like a little holiday town, a lot of like German and French and not so many American tourists, but a lot of tourists here. And it's an interesting life we have here. I was saying to another YouTuber today, like we are just far enough away from everything that we can still have a decent economy and be away from all the world politics, but also we don't get to partake in all the benefits of being part of like the middle of the world. So like, for instance, going to things like CES for the YouTube channel, and that's are kind of not on the cards for me until I'm much bigger and all that. So it's an interesting place to be doing what I do. Funnily enough, that's why I say we just kind of part of what's happening in the world for me to be able to be sent devices without anybody complaining about shipping and everything, all that sort of thing. So well, once I discovered that's when I thought I can do this, because from a young age, like the second I discovered computers and I discovered that people could make money from reviewing like cell phones and stuff, that's what I wanted to do. Like even while I was like, I studied, I went to Bible college, and so I was busy. My memory is of me sitting on the main like auditorium computer. And instead of doing like church work, I was busy Googling on GSM Arena for phones. Like, kind of, that's just like, I should have known then that that wasn't really my calling, and that's there were other things in store for me. So from the beginning, this is what I wanted to do, and so and then I'd been on YouTube for a long time. Hey, like I always tell the story because I think it encourages a lot of smaller YouTubers, because like. Okay, I'm 27,000 subscribers now. So, like I think to someone who's got like 500 subs, I'm like a big YouTuber, but in my mind, I'm not. But so when it's very encouraging for them to know that I was on the platform for like 7 years before I even saw a remote amount of growth. Saw a few like videos pop off here and there. I was into drones, I was into cameras, and I saw like moderate success. Like the cameras started to take off, but I realized like it's very expensive to review cameras because you can't always get them sent free. Actually, you could never get them sent for free. So a lot of the channels I was watching, they were like 400,000 subscribers and they were buying every camera that they reviewed. So that didn't work out. And then as like most people in this particular scene, this retro gaming scene, COVID hit and I got into like retro games. And I discovered, like as we all do, I discovered Anbernic and I discovered Russ from Retro Game Core. And yeah, well, once I started with that, and I posted one video, I was kind of hooked.
Yeah.
And I just kept going from there. Yeah, and the growth has been good. Like it's not every YouTuber will say it's not as fast as they want it to be,
Right.
but it's been good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I had seen like, cheap little handhelds with like 100 games on it or whatever at Walmart or some place like that before COVID. But I don't know how old or how long Anbernic has been around or some of these other companies. I've never really paid attention to that, but it really seems like that's when the technology got to a place where it was affordable and you could start shipping these things that actually emulated something above, NES, and it became a lot more fun at that point. So yeah, that's cool.
The shift really happened because up until that point, they were just like our toy stores and that here in South Africa. It was just these little handhelds, but it was running some proprietary software. It couldn't even run SNES very well. I don't think it could even run SNES. It was probably Atari games mostly. Then Anbernic came and were like, well, let's just make a little computer inside a handheld. And then they put like that little, that old Linux OpenDingix onto their handhelds. So it was, and I think that's where everything just sparked, because everyone's like, oh, hang on. What we've been doing on our computers with Retroid, this is what these guys are doing here. This is something, because it was quality and it was a decent operating system that could actually play the games properly.
Right.
And that was where suddenly, okay, this thing's happening.
Yeah, and it's just like skyrocketed from there, I feel like, in terms of what they can do and what we can do now. And the community has just like exploded with all of these just random people seemingly making custom firmwares and stuff, and it's just been fantastic to watch. Like really interesting to watch.
It is actually crazy.
It is crazy,
when you think, just kind of zoom out and you go, there are hundreds of people around the world making little pieces of software.
Yeah.
Like I was busy looking at Next UI or Pack UI, and guys are making little like packs for people to install. Like it's crazy what's going on.
Yeah.
I would never have imagined
all
that.
Community driven, just they're not, in a lot of cases, not getting paid to do that. They're just doing it because it's fun,
Yeah, developers are interesting humans because they've got a weird relationship to making money from what they do. It's like a very strict like code that they live by. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So back to you for a second. You have family?
Yes, I have a wife and 2 children. We adopted 2 kids. So my daughter is 12. My boy he's just turned 10. So that's a whole story all on its own, because we adopted like before it was super popular here in South Africa. So we moved to this town called George, which is very conservative, and it's grown a lot since we got here. But it turned a few heads in the beginning. But since it's weird, like it's just that's become quite normal in society around the world and here in South Africa as well, just to adopt. So we aren't like the weirdos walking around with our kids anymore. It's like quite normal now,
Yeah, it has become a lot more normal here in the States too. I know quite a few people who have adopted, and when I was a kid, when we were kids, you didn't see it very often, I feel like. And I know it was happening, but it definitely wasn't as often as it is now. Yeah.
I think one of the big barriers was I don't know where it comes from. I think certain religions, and I don't know if the Catholics think this way, but there's certain religions that think this way. It's like your bloodline is very, very important. Like if you don't have your like generational seed or whatever, like it's a very, very weird concept to me. I make fun of it because I have no reference to that. To me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so that was a huge hurdle. And also where I remember saying this, I went out them, but one of my family members, and they said, what about the children? Think of the children. What are people going to say to them? I was like, what do you mean, what are people going to say to them? They're going to be like, hello, how are you? Like, I don't understand what the people are going to... There were these weird barriers to adopting. And I think it comes from the olden days. I think maybe when she was at school, adopted kids would get ridiculed and, you don't have real parents and all this. I think my daughter's maybe had one person in her life say, they're not your real parents. And we're like, actually, we are real. Look at us. We're made of flesh.
Right. Yeah.
we are her real parents. And my wife once had a weird conversation with a lady, but for the most part, I think people are pretty well informed these days.
Yeah, I think that's true. It probably was different, even just 30 years ago. And and the bloodline thing is a thing, and I think that's one place where Christianity seems to be different, is that Christians are told to take care of the orphan and the widow explicitly. And so anyway, that's cool, man. That's really cool that you all were able to do that.
Well, I don't want to get too theological, but like that, it is an interesting topic, because specifically there are, like, I remember one church here, specifically in Georgia, they were doing this whole, like, you've been adopted into the kingdom, and they talked a lot about adoption, but they were against adoption.
That's weird.
Which is just strange. And I think, again, it comes down to the whole bloodline thing and carrying, like, the people, a lot of people believe very heavily in when, like when Noah got off the ark, and like God said, like, go multiply and subdue the earth and all that stuff. And people still hold very dearly to that. They're like, that's very important. We have to multiply. I'm like, there are like, over 8 billion people on the earth today. I think we're done with that part of the message. I think we need to move on to the next thing now.
Well, I think, some people can have kids and those kids can be in a loving home, but then there's a lot of kids who don't have good homes. And, I think that God calls some people to give those kids good homes and to be good parents to them. And so I think that what you all did is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So
cool. Thanks.
Thank you for doing that. And even when it was, kind of against the norm and just stepping out and doing that, I think that's incredible.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like we were doing anything special. Like, we just, I wanted to adopt from, it's weird. Like, I wanted to adopt from when I was in school. Like, that's, I wanted to adopt my kids. And then I didn't want to put pressure on my wife. So I just kind of kept quiet about it. And then one day she turned to me in the car and said, why aren't we adopting? And that was that.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, your kids aren't too far off from my kids' age. We have 8 and 10-year-old. So
okay.
Yeah. They could play together if we weren't on other sides of the world.
Yeah, it's interesting being a parent, man.
It is.
It's like, it's wonderful and like completely traumatic all at the same time.
Yeah.
There's some days where I'm like, I'm done. Sorry, I for some reason my laptop isn't charging, so I just want to make sure it's plugged in properly. Otherwise, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, we don't want that. I'm doing the editing, so just walk away as many times as you need to. Before we get to is gaming getting better, can you maybe just tell me some things that you've been playing, or it might be easier. If you're anything like me, you're probably playing like 20 games at the same time. So it might be easier to just tell me or tell us what your favorite handheld is right now, or what you're playing on the most right now even.
I'm busy testing the RG477, so I've been enjoying that quite a bit. It's kind of inspired me to play a bit more PS2, but this has been my favorite handheld. I made a video the other day about it. In the video, I was like, the 34XX, the SP. I made a video about, like, I was like, listen, this is really the device that I'm personally using. And then I showed like the games. It says like 5 games. It's only a 16 gig card in here. Yeah, I've been on a bit of like not a digital detox, removing myself from having everything available all the time. I went through a patch on my podcast of talking regularly about ADHD, and it was because I'd just come off a long session of like a long period of being in therapy and dealing with that with someone. So I realized that can be an issue for me. And so I've gotten this device set up with like 6 games. I've got a Potris. I don't know if you know Potris, the remake or demake of Tetris. So that's
nope, I haven't seen that one. That's cool.
Potris they actually have a website, and I saw you can get a GBA ROM. It's available on Portmaster. There's a few ROMs and versions. You can get it as an exe file for Windows. Then Golden Sun, Todd Todd Tronics, the YouTuber, he got me onto Golden Sun. He was like, listen, you haven't played it. What is wrong with you? Play Golden Sun. So I'm working through that one. Good Boy Galaxy. Do you know about that one?
No, what's that?
Good Boy Galaxy is a modern Game Boy game. So it was made recently.
Okay.
And it is a platformer of a little space dog. So he crashes his spaceship and he has to find the parts for his spaceship so that he can move on with his trip. And it's very what's the terms that people use? Metroidvania. It's got a bit of that to it where you've got to go through the world to find the parts, and when you get more abilities you can do the next thing. So you've got to like jump between the worlds and get all that going. So very, very nice and great graphics.
Good Boy.
Very well constructed. Good Boy Galaxy.
Okay.
Really good. Sonic Advance 3, just because I put that on every device that's good for GBA. Space Invaders, that's actually the game that I've been playing the most. So
really,
like, you know, when people go, oh, you're just a shill for these companies, like I really am a retro gamer. Like I haven't been playing my Steam Deck. I've been playing Space Invaders like everywhere all the time for GBA. Such a good version of Space Invaders. And then I haven't played it a lot, but me and my son had so much fun waiting for Chinese the other day playing Starcatcher on Portmaster. I haven't researched where else it's available, but Starcatcher, it's like a puzzle game with like very specific mechanics. So the little guy, he's like a moon character, and each element on the screen has its own gravitational pull. So if you're on this block, you will walk around that block. Yeah. So if you're walking on that part of the block and you jump, you will jump this way. But if you're walking here, your jump will go that way. So, and then each stage has got its own set of like problems and you've got to solve. So that's quite cool.
So is that multiplayer or are you just watching the same screen and figuring it out together?
Yeah, we were just playing it together while we were waiting for fried rice, and we just were having an absolute blast.
I love fried rice. You'll make me hungry talking about fried rice.
Do you know what happened? They opened a place like for months. We were like, what's it going to be? And then I saw a lot of like Chinese people coming in and out. So I was like, maybe it's going to be like a Chinese mall, blah, blah, blah. And then they opened, it's a chain of Chinese stores around South Africa, and they opened right on the corner. It's walking distance. So we eat way too much fried rice and noodles. Yeah.
Oh, the noodles are good too. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So those are my games. And then I am playing one modern game. I'm playing RoboCop on the Steam Deck.
Okay. Yeah. Cool I think game. I saw that in your 8-Bit Do Pro 3 review. Weren't you playing a little bit of that there? Yeah, I started playing that recently as well. I haven't gotten too far into it though.
No, me neither. Yeah. I got stuck at so you get the first part of the story, and then it kind of like goes back to the station, and then you've got to get 50 points at the shooting range, and it's so freaking hard. I was like, what the? So I set it up on the big screen, and I got it because it just felt like, okay, I've got a bit more movement on the big screen, and then I managed to get it right.
There you go. Yeah. I was surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was surprised at how like tank-like you move in the game. Like it's a little slower, but I mean that is how RoboCop moves, I guess, in the movie. So.
Yeah, and the way they make up for that is you end up with someone with you, like someone who's running around, and then you're just moving. So you do have to get used to that, because if you're expecting like, I don't know, like Wolfenstein running around,
it's not Doom, or it's not Doom.
No, it's not Doom.
Very slow compared to Doom.
Well, I read somewhere someone was like, what he was disappointed in the game is that they don't show you this explicitly in the game, is that finding the clues and solving the mysteries is probably the coolest part of the game. So when you're going through in the beginning, you'll see like there's these little like clues and documents that you got to collect, and if you do that, it adds a whole fun element to the game.
Okay, that was always one of my favorite parts of Arkham Origins. I'm a big Batman fan. Arkham Origins has these detectives. They all have these detective scenes, but Arkham Origins really does it the best, I think, where you have to find multiple clues, and he starts to piece them all together. and then there's like this
Okay.
holographic thing that you can play and like scrub through and rewind and fast forward so that you can figure out what happened at these crime
That's
scenes.
cool.
And I always really liked that element of that game.
I do actually own it, so that's a top tip there. I'll go check it out. I've got a few Batman games. Like, you know how so there's certain things that you like, I like Batman, and then like I've bought all the Batman games, but I haven't played any of them, so maybe I don't like it as much as I think I do. So we'll see.
Well, I just recently did, like, I call them speed runs. They're not breaking any world records, but they were fast for me, of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on the Switch 2, just to see how they started, just to see how they ran, how they looked, and then I just couldn't stop. So I just blasted through those. But
cool.
Arkham Origins is, I think my favorite of all the Arkham games. And it's kind of the black sheep a little bit of the Arkham series. They don't ever like to acknowledge it, it seems like, but I think it's got the best story.
Yeah, that's always my favorites. Like if I read a review, they're like, no, we didn't like the third season of Daredevil on Disney Plus, then I'm like, I will go and I will enjoy it.
Yeah,
screw you.
I loved
I always like to like
the
underdog thing. Yeah.
I thought the third season was the best season. Anyway, yeah, I think it's the best one. And then last year we got Arkham Shadow on the MetaQuest 3, and it is the first time that it takes place between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum, and so they actually acknowledge a bunch of the things that happened in Origins, and there's a lot of Easter eggs from that game in there, and cool. It's really cool. And that's a really good game too, but definitely a different format, but very fun to beat up on the criminals and figure out all the stuff in VR. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Do you enjoy VR for gaming? I haven't got VR.
I do. Yeah. A lot of what I do on the channel is VR stuff. I feel like I kind of bookend gaming a bit because I focus a lot on the retro handheld, retro gaming side.
Yes, I've seen
but
that. But
then I do a lot of the VR stuff, and I feel like that's kind of at the forefront, like early adopter, still kind of in its beginnings. And there's challenges with it for people because it can make people sick. But there's a lot of games that negate that by how they're built, and so a lot of the mixed reality games, like you just said, Skyrunner, I just did a review on that, and it's mixed reality. Yeah. So you're in your environment, you're in your room, and you can move about freely in your room while playing this game that's interacting with your environment, and like that doesn't make anybody motion sick. And so there's a lot of stuff you can do like that. That's still really cool. It's just like a different way that developers are able to be creative and kind of flex that creative muscle and find new ways to play games. And so I've really enjoyed it. The last year and a half or so I've been playing VR, and you can also, true VR games did make me a little motion sick at first, but if you just play like a little bit at a time, you can kind of build up your sea legs, and get used to it over time, and it does get easier if you stick with it. So I really like it. It's fun.
So I accidentally bought, because I'm a big fan of the Walking Dead franchise, and I accidentally bought their VR game. Have you played it?
Saints and Sinners?
So I just want to know. Yes.
That's one I have not played. Actually,
so I just want to know if it's any good.
Well, everything I've seen about
getting the goggles. Yeah.
Everything I've seen about it, people really do like it. They say it's really good, but that's one I haven't played that one.
All right.
Can't attest to that. But
the VR is just a little bit out of my periphery for the channel, so it would purely just be a huge expense just for me to play Saints and Sinners, which is maybe it'll be my 50,000 subscribers reward.
There you go. I think that's a solid reward.
I think so.
It's fun, man. It's just so different, and I think that's what I like about it most, is that it's unlike anything else I've ever done, in gaming. Because you really you hold the weapon, or you're reaching out and grabbing stuff, and you're putting the key into the door and turning it. Like, it's just so different how interactive it is. And there's even some games now that I play on flat screen on console or whatever that I'm like, man, this would be so much better in VR. That's starting to happen now. An example of that would be the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. As I'm 10 minutes into that game, I'm thinking this should be a VR game because of the way that you interact with the environments in that game. That happens sometimes to me now, but it's cool stuff, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future, because it really is. It's something unique, and it's something fresh and something different. So.
Yeah. I mean, I must say there are games that I'm like, I wish I could immerse myself in that. It's the games that you're like a super fan of, and you're like, I wish I could just be in that world. So that's, I guess that's where that comes in.
Well, let's talk about this question: is gaming getting better? Now that we've kind of already started it a little bit. I feel like
we're there. Yeah.
We're there. Is gaming getting better? And so by this, I mean not just games themselves. You can talk about hardware, you can talk about software, but you can't have one without the other, so you got to merge them at some point. And I feel like this is a complicated question. Is gaming getting better in 2025 from 1980, whenever we started gaming? Has it?
Well, I'm an interesting person to ask that, because I come out of like sort of left field. So it was COVID where I started rediscovering gaming. And my last memory of gaming is the original Xbox, like PC gaming, Nintendo, or like Famicom. And so then I came into it like fully. I mean, when I get into something, I get into something, and then I research everything. And, like in my mind, I was like, okay, out of all the consoles I could buy, I actually think the Steam Deck suits me the best, and over and above like the PlayStation and the Xbox. Like, that's what I chose. I was at a point now, like, I got some money in PayPal from the YouTube channel. Let's buy something for me. And I bought the Steam Deck, and I think so. From that side, the sort of mainstream gaming, my feeling is, and I just take it from where it comes, because I'm not an uber like AAA gamer. My feeling is that, like, there definitely are developments, but it's almost like I was discussing this device with someone, how people are willing to spend this money purely for black frame insertion, and I feel like it's kind of crazy. It's the same thing with buying a PlayStation or buying the latest Xbox. You're paying a lot of money for a very, very little bit of improvements on graphics and all that kind of thing. And like modern gaming, the mechanics and stuff were perfected a while ago. Like I just think we're now getting picky about like storyline, which I think is a great place to be. I think it's better to be at a place where the technology is like peaked. The technology is just amazing. Whatever you want, you can have it. It's all at your fingertips. That's a great place to be, because now we can take a step back and go, okay, let's improve on the stories. Let's like get it to like Hollywood level. Let's improve on like little mechanical issues that have been a problem for a long time. So that's my take. I don't think technologically it's getting as great as people say it is, but I do think it's improving from the point of view of, I think the stories and the enriched environments and the like little backstory, like what you call it, the side quests and all those kind of things. That's definitely getting better. Every single time I play a new game, I'm like, what will people think of next? So that's my take on that, on the sort of modern gaming. But I'm not the most well versed in that thing. I think my knowledge will more lie on the retro gaming side. I think that's probably where I should talk a bit about as well.
Well, I think that's my question, is that I've even seen articles in the last year pop up about how like Gen Z is drawn to retro games, like 8 and 16-bit gaming. And I think that's my biggest question really, is we have all of this amazing technology, like you said, like it's hard to imagine where it could go next, because it has gotten so good. But if that's true, and it's so much better than it used to be, why are we, even you and I, still drawn back to the retro games? I find myself wanting to play 2D side scrollers still, to this day. One of the modern games that I'm most excited about coming out now is the new Shinobi game that's coming out at the end of August, and it's a 2D side scroller beat 'em up, ninja game, and I'm really pumped about it because it has kind of, these just beautiful graphics that we can do now, but it has that retro feel. And we've also got that Marvel game coming out, made by the same people that did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. But they're making a Cosmic Invasion, I think is what it's called. I'm excited about that, and that's not some AAA huge title on the Arc S. It's saying you had just 5 or 6 games on your 34XX SP. I have a lot more than that on this Arc S here, but the thing that I'm playing on it is just one game. I'm playing Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith on the GBA on there, and that's what I'm playing right now, and I love it. It's so good. Like, to me, that I'm having fun, and that's probably what's most games should be fun, right? That's why we play them. And definitely, like, story's important. I'm a big story guy too. I love good deep stories. One of my favorite games of the last 5 or 6 years was Ghost of Tsushima. Loved the story there and just the world that they built. Another one that people didn't really play, it did not sell well, was Immortals of Avium. I don't know if you've seen that game or heard of that game. No. It was one of the first, I think it was one of the first Unreal Engine 5 games that came out on PS5 and Series X. And it had a lot of problems at launch, like performance issues at launch and resolution issues.
Okay, I've seen the thumbnail before, yes.
So people just kind of, brushed it off as like, this game's crap. But I started playing it and I'm like, no, like I played it after they patched it a few times, and the story, the world and the lore that they built out is so deep and so good. And I cannot tell you how many times it has made me laugh out loud. Like, literally just sitting in the room by myself and I am laughing out loud because it's so funny. The script is so funny, which you wouldn't expect from like a fantasy adventure game, but it is. It's funny and entertaining and fun, and the combat's fun, and I've really enjoyed that game. So you can have fun on both ends of the spectrum, I guess is what I'm saying. But there's something about retro games that we're still drawn to, and I don't think your age. I don't think it's nostalgia. It's not nostalgia for some people. It's just a rediscovery of this art form, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who I speak to in the scene, they come with the understanding. Yeah, it's just us, like middle-aged men and women who are into this. But I've realized that there is a huge resurgence of younger people who are almost pioneering it. Like, they are more into for instance, we're into emulation. So I was talking to Tech Dweeb last night, and he's like a huge emulation nerd. And I said, I want to get into original hardware. And he was almost like, why would you want to do that? But then the like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, those people, they're like, no, we need to find original hardware. You need to thrift the original hardware. Emulation is evil, So I'm not sure where that comes from, but I do know where it comes from. I think they're a generation that, like, which is the first generation that grew up without knowing that there was at one point not internet.
I think that's got to be Gen Z, right?
Yeah. And they're the first generation that have grown up with this, like what I've been calling unlimited access. So that they've grown up with whatever they want to play, whatever they want to do, it's there. Like, they don't know, like my kids, I was trying to explain to them programming. Like, in South Africa, we've got the SABC. I don't know what your guys, you're like, almost like in the UK, it's the BBC, like and now we're going to have the Sunday night movie, and now and I was trying to explain that. I was trying to explain that to my kids, and they could not grasp the concept.
Right.
That they were like, okay, so then when you go mix up, you just pause it. I'm like, no. It just played. They couldn't understand that concept, and so they have a completely different mindset to technology and all the stuff. And so for them, the wonder of something that isn't connected to online, and it's like, I was trying to say to Tech Dweeb, I like the idea of picking up a device and there's only one game, because the anxiety, like the time, it's not conscious, but the thing you pick up, like for instance, your Arc, like if I had like that's what started to freak me out. Here, this is my Pocket Micro. I had almost all the GBA games in it. So I pick it up and then I'm like, oh, but so and so said that's a good game. Oh, but I also really wanted to play this. But I know Chrono Trigger is one of the best JRPGs that have ever been made. So I need to play. And I just, like, I pick the thing up and I'm just filled with anxiety, you know? And so to pick something up and know it only has one game, that's all you can play. Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of it.
Power in that.
That's part of it, right? Is now there's too much. I feel like we could go a couple ways with this. One is you know, you've got like I don't know, 8 out of the top 10 best-selling games on the PlayStation Store in the last year are Xbox games. Like you
yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting little statistic.
You have like, there isn't like console exclusives, like, you know, picking up a device and it has one game you want to play. Like that is, it seems to be going away. Like Nintendo's still holding on. PlayStation's sort of there, but they release almost all their stuff on PC. So to me, that's still kind of cross-platform releases there, and the gap between the PlayStation and PC releases is getting shorter and shorter. So, but then you could take this another way and be like, you know, gaming is better because you could say gaming is, make the argument that gaming is better because I used to, like, if I had a Game Boy when I was a kid, which I didn't, but I had a cousin who did. He had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 games for his Game Boy, and that's all he had, you know. But now I can pick up a retro handheld for under $100 and have 10,000 games on it, and then it's like you said, it's like there's so many options. That's why a lot of the firmwares have like a thing you can click to like pick a random game and just start a random game. It'll just pick one, you know, and start it.
Emulation Station does that. It's like a screensaver, and then you can go, let's try that game.
Yeah. But then you get into this problem where you're like, okay, this one's really cool, but I also want to try out that one. And so you start, and then you end up starting like 20 games and you don't finish any of them, you know?
Exactly.
But before, man, we only had 1 or 2 games and we played them until we finished them. And then we played them until we finished them again, you know? If we were able, because a lot of them, some of them were really hard, really difficult.
It's so interesting because that I think, because I've been trying to nail this down, like what is happening. Because talking to Tech Dweeb last night, he's very like, to him, if I asked him that question, he'd be like, "Of course it's gotten better. What are you like challenged? Like what is wrong with you?" But then you'd speak to a younger person. There's another person who I've spoken to, Marissa Moreau, who's a original hardware modder, and she would be like, no, gaming has not gotten better. That's having 10,000 games on a device is not cool. Like that's not better. So it depends how you look at it. And I think the newer generation are seeing the downside of it. I don't know how that's going to, I think the part that I'd have to go away and think about is how is that affecting like the games that are eventually going to come to my Steam Deck? Like how is that affecting the Indiana Jones game? And I mean, definitely one of the things is those huge budget games are struggling a bit because they don't know where to go from here. Because before it was like, you know, PlayStation, the little I know about the progress of PlayStation, to me, I actually lost interest when the graphics war began. The sort of N64 3D graphics, that whole era, and then like every iteration, PlayStation kind of dominated here in South Africa, and every iteration was graphics. And now they don't have that anymore. Like they say they do, and they try to convince you that they do, but that's not really a thing anymore.
It's the law of diminishing returns at this point, you know.
Yes, So how are those things interplaying? Because there's definitely a relationship between those two things. Like, why are people suddenly so obsessed with retro games? I don't know.
I don't know either. I think maybe part of it is the length, because man, you can get into some of these games that just never end. Like some of the live service stuff, Fortnite never ends. There's always a next season, and there is a loose story that goes along with it, you know, and they put that in there somehow, and so you can follow that if you want to. But like, there's just games that never end. Like, does Elden Ring ever really end? You know, like,
yeah, I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that kind of, okay, you're done now. Oh, but the next thing's coming tomorrow.
Right. And I'll tell you, on Father's Day this year, do you all have Father's Day in South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've never thought about it until this moment. If other places in the world had that. So on Father's Day, one of the things that my kids gave me is that we sat down on the couch together and before dinner that night, and we played through the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original arcade game where you could walk up to it and 4 people could play.
Yeah,
we have that on Switch that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago, cool. The Cowabunga collection. And so we sat down, my wife and my kids and me, and we played through that game. But that game is like, I had never seen the end of it. Okay, because when I was a kid, I didn't have enough quarters to get past like one round. So so I finally got to see the end of that game, and the game is only like 45 minutes long, maybe. Like it's really short, but you die a lot. So unless you had like $30 in quarters, you probably never saw the end of that game growing up. But but you were done. You played it and you were done. 45 minutes. That's under an hour for the whole game. And it's like, we had an awesome hour. It was really fun. But some of these games now are so long. It's like you just never finish.
It's definitely changing, man. Like, because another friend of mine who you sort of remind me of is, because you've grown up with these games, and which I haven't, Rudy, and I think. So he played Expedition 33 and it was like, man, you got to get into this game. It's all the rage. It's beautiful. It's very good. And I watched the title sequence and I haven't gotten back into it, but then I saw him finish it, and I know that he's a dedicated gamer. So he would have played into the nights, like every night until Expedition 33. And it was like 3 months later. I was like, no ways. There's no ways I am spending 3 months on a game. That, I think that's the difference, maybe. Maybe the guys who grew up with that, but who are now getting older now, like in their 40s, those are the guys that still think that's great. But maybe the newer generation are like, no thanks. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it's weird, right? Because it seems like games get longer and longer to one extent, but at the same time, our attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter because of the rise of social media. So it almost seems counterintuitive that companies would be making like games like Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 2 is a huge open world, game, and it just goes on and on and on. Like the story, the campaign you can beat in, I don't know, 20 hours or something, but there's all this after story stuff that you can do to complete, and side quests and side stories and stuff that you can play through. So it's a very long game, but at the same time, our attention spans have gotten so short. And so I don't know, it's like weird. It's weird to me. It's a weird place that we're in.
Yeah. I think that at the end of the day, it's definitely gotten better. I mean, the stories that people are coming up with and the creativity that's coming out, I think that part of it we've just seen the beginning of. I mean, the little that I've seen now that I've been in the scene, to see, like, I've been catching up on like the 2010s and like playing those games. Like, so it was a huge thing for me. So to me, Wolfenstein 3D on the PC, the first game. That to me was the only one that ever existed. And then someone was like, there's like a whole lot of, because when I sent Wolfenstein, someone was like, oh yeah, the one on Steam. And I was like, what are they talking about? And then I got into that. So I've been playing all those games. So I'm like a huge fan now. I've played every single Wolfenstein game now, working through Doom, all those. And so to me, that's great. And then I see what's happening in the new scene. And I'm like, how do these people keep coming up with it? So I think we're only at the beginning stages of great stories in games. I mean, look at The Last of Us. Yeah. I mean, what a game. And I think those kind of things are just...
Well, I think that's one of the things
getting better and better.
That really blew people away about Clear Obscure. And I think that, this is another aspect of this conversation is... the budgets of some of these games, and then all the studio closures afterwards because they spend so much money making these things, and then they can't make it back, and so then they close down the studio, and all these people lose their jobs, and it's terrible. But Clair Obscur, one of the things that made that such a big hit was that the studio only had like 34 people or something working for it, and they made the game in 4 years or something, and the story is so good. It is in my opinion, like at this point in 2025, it's still my game of the year for 2025 because everything just comes together so beautifully, and I really do.
Okay, I'll play it.
The way that the music, and you're a music guy too, like the music is so good. But the way that the music comes together and supports the emotional tone and weight of the story is just, it's a masterclass. And this, like, to me, that's one of the things that's so great about gaming, is that you take all these different elements from, like, I think storytelling is an art form. I think that music is an art form, and then you have your visual arts, and you put all these things together in one package that you get to interact with and that you get to be a part of. That's a beautiful thing that I hope that we never lose. Like, and it's just one of the things that draws me to gaming, because, man, you get to experience that, like, in real time. So but Clair Obscur does it so well, and did it in a way where they didn't have to shutter their doors, because they kept their budget under control.
They were very wise with that. So I heard about how they made that game, and they focused on all the right things. And they made sure that they didn't let some big corporate giant go, okay, so here's your, so many $1 million, and here's your big office, and here, that I think as whoever was in charge, they kept their ego in check, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, they found the composer on SoundCloud. They didn't go out and hire some big shot music composer for their score. They just found this random dude on SoundCloud and said, "Hey, can you come make music for our game?" And he was like,
good for them, man.
And it's gorgeous. I mean, it's just great, the whole thing through and through. So it sounds like we didn't really find an answer to the question, is what I'm hearing.
Well,
it depends on who you are.
I mean, from the retro gaming scene, because I always are, like, when I speak to the retro gaming guys, I'm like, so where's this going? Where's it heading? There must be an end in sight. And I definitely have to concede that I was probably wrong, because they just seem to iterate, and it just gets better and better. So the hardware gets better and better.
It does.
And I think the reason is because there's I don't know if you know about the portal, the AYN portal, Odin 2 portal.
Yeah,
it's a big, that 60x9 OLED thing. And the retro gaming kind of also fringes onto, like, mainstream gaming, because the portal is somewhere in between. It's still Android, so it's not going to play Steam Deck and all that, but it's just as nice. And so there's a long way to go for retro gaming, and it's only getting better and better. And somehow, somewhere, they're all going to kind of converge into something. And so I tell you, we've just like gotten started as far as that's concerned.
If you had told 10-year-old Aiden, 10-year-old Bo, that you could have something like this, for $200, you could have this with every game you want and put it in your pocket. The PS2, GameCube, and down, and put it in your pocket and carry it around with you. I would have been like, you're crazy. That's stupid. Why would you even say that? Like, but it also would be like, that's kind of the dream, right? That's the dream, is that I would be able to do that. But then you get into that problem of having instant access to all of these things, and that to me is not always a good thing. Sometimes we just need to be able to slow down and pause and appreciate the one thing, rather than being overwhelmed by the 10,000 things.
Definitely. And I think it's a whole different topic. I think it's just a new era, and how we have to manage our access. We've got apps for, our kids don't really use their phones, but we've got apps to control what they see and all that kind of thing, control their access. So when they do have unlimited access, they're used to not having it. They're used to controlling it. And I think our old pre-internet brains, it's kind of weird for us, you know. Whereas I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha are already self-correcting. They're like, yeah, this is bad for us. Like, you know how I'm Gen X, like we're like, thanks boomers for effing up the world, we'll try fix it. And then I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha are like, thanks for completely destroying our brains, we'll try correct that problem that you caused for us, you know?
Yeah, well, good for them.
Yeah.
I hope that they're successful, because the world's gonna need them at some point.
Yeah, big time.
You got any other thoughts about this topic?
Man, I just love all this stuff. Like I think sometimes doing this YouTube thing, you're sometimes made to feel like you're just a shill selling product, and there's a huge element of what I do that is that, and you know what you do. But I'm so passionate about these products, and you know, like that's why I made the video about this one, and I said, listen, I know Little NXT sent me this, I know this and this, but I've said bad things about their products, you know, but this is really, really nice. And sometimes it's difficult to sell stuff when you are as passionate as you are about it, because people take it as disingenuous. But man, I just love where all of this is going.
Like, I get it, because I do get comments, and I try to just ignore them, but about how this guy's just a shill or whatever. And I'm like, no, like, I don't say things that I don't mean. Like, I know it's hard for the internet to know that, because they don't know me personally, but I don't say things unless I mean them. Like, I just don't. And so when I tell you that I like this aspect of this product, I'm being sincere. And you know, I think that you are too. When I watch your videos, I'm like, he really believes that. Like, he really thinks that's his true opinion. Like, I never think that about most other YouTubers. Sometimes you can tell, like, they're just doing that because it's sponsored or whatever. But for the most part, I think that YouTubers try to have some degree of integrity when they're reviewing a product, whether it's sent to them or not. And I get tired of seeing all the people that are just like, you're just saying that so that you can sell that device. It's like, no, I'm not. If it's bad, I'm going to tell you it's bad.
Yeah, it's not easy, because I think what happens because I have been on the receiving end. Like, for instance, I was talking to someone who was a big fan of Linus Tech Tips, and I don't know exactly what happened with the whole drama with him, but they've completely lost their faith in him. And that's happened to me with other YouTubers, where I followed them for a very long time. And then later on, I found out that like, for instance, there was a camera guy, and he pushed Canon his entire YouTube career. He got to like over 10 million subscribers. And then only once he was in the millions of subscribers, he just dropped it in a video. Yeah, I'm a Canon representative. And I was like, you've been shilling this product for years, and I literally spent thousands of rands on a product because you said it's the best. Now I find out you just said it's the best because they pay you to, and that sucks. And I know how that feels as well. And I think this is a good thing for like smaller YouTubers and that kind of thing. Is it's easy to think that you're behind this veil of anonymity, and if you just switch gears, who cares? There's just millions of people out there, and everyone will just keep watching. That core group that follow you will be disenchanted by you. They will stop trusting you, and that spreads. And you'll get more and more of those comments. So it's tricky, and you got to keep your integrity. Otherwise, eventually it will come back to bite you.
Yeah, I still consider myself a small YouTuber. You know, I'm sitting at a little over 6,000 subscribers, and thankfully,
you're great.
Thankfully, it's growing to get several subscribers a day, and I'm thankful for that. But I still buy a lot of these things. Like you said, you bought the Steam Deck with your own money, and I bought this mini V2 with my own money to like kind of just reward myself or whatever for
5,000 subscribers.
And like I do a lot of the VR stuff. In the Quest 3, I bought the Meta Quest 3 with my own money, and I took a risk on it because I didn't know if it would make me sick and nauseous or whatever. I was like, it was at that time it was like $650, and I was like, I don't know if I really, because I'd never played VR before. I don't know if I'll even like it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I bought it and I fell in love with it, and so I made a 1 year later, is it still worth it 1 year later review of the Quest 3.
Yeah.
And I got several comments from people being like, he's just a shill. He's just trying to sell Quest 3s.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I bought this with my own money. I genuinely love this. And I want to share that with you because I want other people to like it too. I want other people to know how cool it is, you know?
No,
now I'm just airing my
keep
grievances to you now at this point. But yeah.
No, you keep going with that. Like you will always get the negativity, but people will pick up on your positivity and your passion. You know?
Well, Aiden, man, I appreciate your time today talking to me about gaming.
Thanks for having me.
And can't wait to edit this episode and put it out for people to enjoy. Tell us where we can find you on social media, YouTube, all that stuff.
It's all just Adin Walls. I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, obviously YouTube, and what's that other one? Blue Sky.
Okay.
It's all just Adin Walls, my name. ADINWALLS.
Okay, I'll have your YouTube channel linked in the description below, so people can easily find you on YouTube here. And you working on anything special? I don't know. You might be done with it by the time I get this edited, but you got anything special you're working on?
The RG477.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm working on this. And there's a few sort of like evergreen things I want to do. I want to do a video using the classic to talk about some indie Game Boy games. There's a lot of indie Game Boy games out there, so I want to talk about that. I'm going to be doing some content about the cassette tapes and the CDs soon, so I want to do a video about the art of the mixtape and just do a little bit of like a video essay of the history of mixtapes and all that. Yeah.
Very cool. That made me think of two other questions. So I've got this sitting here too. That's what you just held up, right? I haven't shot my review yet, but do you feel like the power here is a little redundant or unnecessary? Maybe that's jumping the gun.
I think so, because
without the joysticks, I feel like the stuff it can do is almost wasted. Yeah.
The sort of dichotomy of this thing is this chipset doesn't come with a video out. And that's like my whole thing before it shipped. I was like, that's going to be great, because what you can do is you play your Game Boy games and you plug it into your TV and suddenly it's a PS2.
Right.
It doesn't do that.
Doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, GameCube is pretty cool on here, but you've got to map the D-pad.
There's definitely some stuff you can do that's fun, but it just feels a little wasted. Like I can get something cheaper and do the same things. Just as well.
I touted it as the new GOAT. I was like, this is the greatest of all time retro handhelds. And I must say, the more I pick it up, the more I feel like I need to retract that, because it's a bit overpriced, it's a bit overpowered, and very, very noisy.
Yeah.
So when it arrived, I thought, this is going to be my device. This is my ultimate. It's what I've been dreaming of. Like, you see my Game Boy over there. Directing it there.
Yeah.
And so that was my dream, to have a really, really cool modern Game Boy. And I thought this was it, but I never use it because the buttons are too noisy. Actually, that's the only reason.
I don't like noisy buttons either. The quieter the button, the better. That's probably the only thing I'm disappointed in about the Mini V2 is how loud the face buttons are. Everything else is quiet, but these are so loud.
They're very noisy. This is worse. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but this is worse.
And I don't understand, because the build quality is really nice, but those buttons are just so loud.
They should have put a little stick here or something, because see, that's the other aspect of it. Because it has all this power, it would be so nice to make a little mini like GameCube Game Boy and then play GameCube games, but just haven't done it. I don't know. I have to rethink that whole thing. Yeah.
The other thing, I just went on vacation and we went to St. Louis, Missouri, and we went to the science museum. They have a big science museum there, and it's free to go into. And so we went there with the kids one day, and I didn't even know this, but they have a whole exhibit about the history of gaming in there. I had no idea. And so they
Okay.
they had like a bunch of consoles set up. They had like, an NES, but they had it taken apart where you could see the inside of it, all the different pieces in this display case.
Cool.
And then they had a game. They had the Legend of Zelda playing. You could pick up a controller and play the Legend of Zelda. And they had like a Sega Genesis, and they had an original PlayStation, and several other things. They had they had 4 N64s set up, so you could play Mario Kart 64.
Cool.
4 people could play against each other, and
Yeah.
and then they had this. I think I'm gonna make a video about it, because I took some video, and I think I'm just gonna talk about how cool it was in just a short video. But they had this huge display set up with the original Super Mario Brothers and this big NES controller on the floor, like a huge one that you had to stand on and play with your feet. But you had one person had to play the D-pad, and one person had to play the A and B buttons.
Yeah.
And so you had to talk and play through Super Mario together. It was really hard to do, but it was really cool. And then they had this game that I've only played one other time. I wanted to see if you'd ever heard of it, called Killer Queen.
Killer Queen. Maybe if I look up the thumbnail, let's see.
It's this arcade game where you have 2 arcade cabinets that are back to back, and it's a team-based game. You can have 5 players on each team. And you're playing against each other. And it's one of the most, again, it's a retro game. It looks like a retro game, but it's a modern game. So it's a 2D, you're on this 2D platform, you're doing platforming, and you're like, what's cool about it is not only that you're playing against somebody else in real time, but that there's I think there's 3 different ways for your team to win. So you have to coordinate and say, okay, do we want to collect this many berries to win and get them to our home base, or do we want to go after their queen and kill their queen 3 times, or do we want to, you get on this snail and you can ride this snail into like a soccer goal. It's kind of weird.
Sounds really cool.
But the snail moves really slowly. It's just real slow across the screen, and people can just come up and like take you out and stop you from getting to the goal. And so you have to be on defense and offense at the same time. And you have to watch what the other team is doing, because they might start with the snail, but then they might start going for the berries, and you have to like, but you're trying to win at the same time. Anyway, it
sounds like you've lost your mind. If someone just walked into the room, they'd be like, "Go for the snail," and lost the berries. Like, insane.
Yeah. It does sound insane, but it is incredibly fun. And again, it's like these 16-bit, somewhere between 8-bit and 16-bit graphics, and you're platforming and you're picking up stuff. But I was standing there. I started playing. On the other side, these kids that were like probably 9 to 15 years old. And so it was me versus like these three kids, but they were super into it. And they're Gen Z or Gen Alpha. I don't know where the cutoff point is there, but there was all this other stuff there that they could play, but they were choosing to play that. And then I was playing against them, and it was a lot of fun. But anyway, just to our point earlier that
yes.
Yeah.
There's something to that. Definitely. I think we're tired of having so much all the time, and I think so are they.
Yep. Well, again, appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time, and everybody go check out Adin Walls' channel. Let's get him to that 50,000 subs so he can buy a MetaQuest 3 and reward himself.
Yes.
But this has been, I don't know what episode this is actually, so I'm gonna cut
You've
that
made
part
a lot
out.
of videos. Yeah,
I have made quite a few videos. This has been another episode of The Safe State. Stay kind and encouraging out there, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.